Hello, and welcome to the stream. So tonight we're going to try something a bit different, namely Falcon BMS. Now this is basically a mod based on Falcon 4.0, based on the F-16 Fighting Falcon. And this is again self-made mission like the one in DCS. We're going to go through the startup procedure, and this time I actually will be using a checklist. Excuse me just a minute to grab my papers. Well, you can see them, lots of papers. Should be all of them. And I have another checklist here, but I'm actually using the checklist from the pilot's manual for the F-16. So now Falcon BMS does not look as good as DCS, but it's considered by many a study level simulator. And I've been looking at some videos about it. The F-16 I've flown a bit before, so I have used BMS before. But I'm still trying to get used to it. So as you can see, the cockpit is actually quite well detailed. Sure, the graphics is not amazing, but the graphics are not amazing. Apologies, my bad English. But that's pretty much it. So I have to remember actually which one was the tower frequency, but I have a vague memory of it. This thing actually has a proper ATC system. And let's go through it. So, table of contents, introduction, flight planning. We'll not be doing any flight planning, so we should. At this point, we would have to do the outside, basically the out of cockpit walk around the plane. This is the F-16. If you're not aware of it, that's the wind. It's pretty horrible, I know. I have two GBU-24s. GBU-24s are laser-guided bombs. And this is a strike on a power station located on the somewhere on the Croatian coast. It's a fictional scenario, so if any of you are Croatian and you take any offense of it, please don't. This has nothing to do with you as a nation. It's just a game. So let's see. Of course, we would have to now, if we were in the cockpit, we'd have to check our harnesses and do all that, but we will not be doing that. So this is again from the official manual of the F-16C, block 52, I think. Yes, I have a copy of that. I found it somewhere on the internet, so I'm not sure if it's exactly the best thing to have, but it's what I use. So we can go start to check the left console. This is gonna take a while. If you find it boring, feel free to move on, but I take my flight simulation quite seriously. So let's go here. Okay, fire detect probe heat should be off. Okay, DV control stick, FLC test. So we will actually have to do this. Normal leading edge flaps set to normal, that's fine. Alternate flaps and leading edge flaps, okay. Oh, leading edge flaps to set to auto and alternate flaps set to on. Hello viewer. Roll, pitch and yaw trim controls, they have to be centered, they are centered. Tank inerting switch should be off, which it is. This is not modeled, but it's part of the checklist. The CNI mob is set to backup, which is okay. Exterior lighting panel, so let's put on the normal lighting. We'll put them to flash. And let's put the anti-collision lights as well on. Master light switch. Well, it's on. So And aerial refueling light, I will not be using it because we are not going to use area refuel. Now the EPU, this is the EPU, this is an external power unit, we will not be using it. AVTR switch off, AVTR display off, ECM power. This is the ECM panel, that should be off. COM1 power knob. Okay, let's do this, and the COM2 radio, and let's see what else. Secure voice, no, we will not be using any of this. Let's go on to the next page. So on the next page we have COM2 TAC and power knob. This is not modeled, sadly, in BMS. I would have loved if it was, but it's not. Afterburner reset. Let's look a bit around. Okay, that seems to be fine. UHF radio control. We'll set this to both. Speed brakes. They're forward, they're closed. And we can actually check this if we would look outside. So the speed brakes are towards the butt of the plane, but they are closed. Okay, moving forward, I have to move a lot of paperwork around because I'm actually using a paper checklist. Left auxiliary console, which is this one. Alt gear handle should be in. Landing lights, well, they're set to taxi. RF switch should be set to normal. Stores config as required. Taxi landing lights off. Landing gear handle. It's a very tiny handle here somewhere if I remember it. Well, regardless, it should be down. Ground jettison enable. Now, this is ground jettison enable. If we push that, the stores are going to go away. Brakes are set to channel 1. That's fine. Emergency store jettison. Okay, it's good. The hook switch. This plane does have a hook switch. It's this one. It's up. Roll. So we're moving forward to the autopilot. The roll is set to attitude hold. The pitch set to autopilot off, which is what we want. Master arm off. It's a bad idea to have master arm on. Actually, there was a really bad event in Belgium, I think, where actually the cannon on one of the F-16s fired and destroyed another aircraft on the ground. I think luckily nobody was hurt, but that's pretty bad though. The laser is off. The drag chute is normal. Fuel quantity knob. Okay, we need to set the altimeter, and let's see if we can set it. Okay. Let's see. Fuel quantity knob should be set to normal. This is the fuel quantity knob. External fuel trans set to normal. Perfect. Right auxiliary console. So we need to set the clock. And the clock is set to the correct time of the mission. Sensor power switches seem to be off. Nuclear consent, now that's I think somewhere here. We're not firing, we're not going to drop nuclear ordnance, so no. The zero eye switch, now this is something I never knew where it was, so let's just leave it. Armrest as desired. Interior lighting control panel, we will not be using it, it's daytime, so I don't think there's any need for it. And we'll set the air source to normal. And IFF antenna, so we're going to move here. IFF antenna should be set to normal, but this is not implemented. UHF antenna should be set to normal. Now this plane has two antennas for IFF and UHF. One is lower, one is upper, and one normal. When it's set to normal, the plane automatically chooses which ones it's want to use. Oxygen pressure, so this isn't implemented either. I will not be using it. I mean, I can put on the oxygen supply, but it just makes a really weird sound while flying, so I'm not sure what's up with it. This also, of course, has here a diluter lever and the fuel flow. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the left console. And engine fuel master should be on. Perfect. Engine feed is normal, throttle is off, landing gear, we know it's down. Hook is up, master arm switch off. Again, moving to the next paper. Air source knob. The air source is actually used for cooling, so it's needed to keep the engine cool. And the equipment in the cockpit. So it's air cooled, so it's better than the MiG-21 that has alcohol cooling for its subsystems. Okay, so now we can actually start before engine checklist. Before starting engine checklist. So here we have the main power. We're going to move it up. Hear the sound. That's the batteries. FLSCS power test. So basically we're checking the flight control surfaces. So lights are on, the PMG is okay. Hello viewer. Let's see. Now main power switch. Main power. So we have the lights here for engine, hydraulic and oil pressure, canopy, which is perfectly fine. EPU gen, we will not be using the external power unit, so... And we will now close the canopy. We'll switch this back to battery. And we'll start closing the canopy. One of the things I love about the F-16, by the way, is the awesome visibility you have in it. Like, the plane itself has amazing visibility in the cockpit. And we're going to start for the engine start. So let's crank up the engine. There's a jet fuel starter button here. We're going to push this. There's the engine. And there we go, there's the RPM. It takes a while to spool up, but apologies, this is very, very loud. And I'll ask for your forgiveness for 1 minute. I'm going to cut off the desktop audio sounds a bit because it was extremely loud. I definitely hope you can hear me better than the actual simulator sounds. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay, we've done this page. We can put this back. Hydraulic and oil pressure lamps off. FLSCS relay remains okay. Let's check. That's off. That's fine. Sec light is off. Avionics. What's this? Seat not armed. So let's arm the ejection seat. We won't get any more complaints from the plane. The next step is JFS switch went to off. Hydraulic oil pressure is about, let's see. Okay, the oil's good. The nozzle position not bigger than 94%. The FTIT is, let's see, less than 650 degrees. Hydraulic oil pressure's good. There we go, we can go on to the next page. Again, I'm sorry I'm a bit slow. After engine start. Now we're supposed to check the test switch panel. And let's see. Now we're going to move on to power up the avionics. So the MMC, MFD, UFC. The UFC, I'm going to explain to you what it is. This, and we're going to set the INS to normal align. And finally, we're going to keep this off. The right power unit to on. FCR to on. There we go. The DED is on. The radar altimeter to standby. CNI knob set to UFC. So to here, let's also power up the HUD. And MFL, okay, let's acknowledge the faults. The IFF and avionics fault, I do not know why they happen. And moving on. FLCS reset. Set reset. Okay, that will reset our flight control surfaces. And the sec light is not on, which is good. Okay. We're still waiting for the inertial navigation system to align. Now I still need to find the bit. Okay, we got the bit. Now it's going to run the built-in test. The flight control surfaces are basically going to test themselves. You have seen this actually on the Hornet. The Hornet was actually doing it right, I suppose. It's the same thing that the Hornet does. It verifies the flight control surfaces of the plane, and let's turn off the bit. Why did these go off? Electrical system. That is why I had forgot to switch everything to the generator. FCR is off. So now this is something I did not expect. I'm gonna turn everything off and on again. My mistake. I had forgot to set the everything to the generator. So MMC, stabilizers, MFDs, UFC, data link and map. Finally, we're going to set the power for this and the FCR. FCR is not off. This is extremely weird. This should have worked already. The plane has power, but we have avionics fault, and okay, the FCR is now performing its built-in test. So this took a while for me to realize what's going on, but well, lucky me. Again, my mistake. Wheels down, lights are on. Standby attitude indicator. So this is, we need to basically set this, but we can't because BMS doesn't allow it. Fuel quantity knob. Now I need to remember where the fuel quantity in the EPU fuel, cabin pressure, so it's not anywhere here. Well, shame on me. MFDs are set. Okay, well, we need to wait for a little longer. We could set the okay, stick trim button, activate, enroll and pitch. Okay, we know these are working. Okay. Yaw trim, the yaw trim is the rudder on the back of the plane, so that's set to center, which is what we want it to be set to. MPO, stick movement, air refueling system if required. We do not require it. Brakes, not implemented. Anti-ice. Nothing to do with the EPU, so we're going to skip this step. The EPU, again, external power unit. Avionics bit as desired. Let's see, how the hell do we do an avionics bit? I should really read more in the flight manual, but... Okay. I know you guys think this is boring and you might want me to go to just fly, but let's enable the RWR while we're at it. Now this is going to perform a bit. Let's have it perform a bit, basically built-in test. Let's acknowledge the faults because we know those happen. The FCR is now ready, the fire control radar is ready, and CNI knob set to backup. This is, well, the HUD select, but I cannot use this. Again, many of these controls don't work, so I wish they would, but sadly they don't. Okay, the TACAN power knob seems to be working. Heading set seems to be working. Okay. TACAN is a lot like well, VOR navigation if you are familiar with normal civil aviation. Hey, thank you, Hardy Falcon BMS, and welcome to the stream. Okay, now we can set this to nav, and we can start loading the data. Again, I'm not an expert at this, so I'm just trying to follow a checklist. And this data is actually loaded from a cartridge. Think of it like an old-style floppy disk. This is usually how it works. So you would get that pre-programmed with your waypoint and so on from somebody outside, like a ground controller. Yeah, feel free to look, feel free to chat. I'm happy to have you aboard. So that's pretty much, that's what we're loading the data from. If you've seen my yesterday's stream with the A10 had a similar functionality where we loaded the data from the MFDs, but that was a similar thing. So let's try to set up our communication radios because they are not set. Let's put this back to the CNI to UFC. Now I'm trying to remember what was the frequency for this for the nearby airfield. I think it was 264.85 or 264.80. So let's try. $64.80. Let's try like this first. Okay, let's try to talk to these guys. The parking brake, let's see if it's actually set. Let's set the parking brake and let's see. Nope, I don't remember correctly. Or was it 265.84? Well, it's a bit... I'm a bit hazy at the moment. 265.84. It was somewhere. Okay, this is not a valid frequency, so let's delete it. And it was... Or was it? Oh, it's Aviano Air Base. Thank you. I'm on the Balkans Theater, by the way. I just should have written these down before, but I completely forgot. Okay, 3059, so we can actually set our altimeter. We should have known this from before, but apparently we don't, so... Yeah, I found it anyway. Yeah, I think it's... No, I don't think it's... I think it's on UHF. But anyway. I found it, so I just remember the numbers, like what they were approximately, because I keep flying from this airbase, so... Alright. And yes, I'm going through paper checklists from the actual flight manual. Alright, I think we should be about done with the actual startup checklist. So I'm gonna put away the papers and let's start flapping our wings. Okay, so we have this set. Okie dokie. Yeah, it's on UHF. Aviano Tower is on UHF. Well, what can you do? That's what it is. And let's put on also the countermeasures to auto, and let's put on the HMD symbology. Land lights are set to taxi, so the first thing we do, we need to actually ask the ground crew to set the wheel chocks off. So basically those are the things kind of holding us in place. So let's talk to...
Cowboy 1-1, ready for departure. Cowboy 1-1. Aviano Tower, position and hold.
Alright, position and hold. Okay, let's wait for a bit.
Aviano Tower. Clear for takeoff. Runway 23.
Okay, runway 23 it is. Technically, I'm at Rivalto Airbase, but these guys don't seem to have a tower, so I'm just using Aviano's tower to do all this. It's a bit stupid, but... Alright, so... Let's request remove wheel chocks. Okay, chocks are in place. Let's enable the nose wheel steering. And let's put this to anti-skid. The plane will start moving. So this is... the engine itself, I think, is very, very powerful on this, so... Again, I'm no expert, so... I'm not sure if the F-16 has a high mode for the nose wheel steering, but it seems to be quite maneuverable on the ground. Yes, yes. Well, I told them to. They told me that I'm clear to taxi. Okay, fine. Also, as you can see from the cam, probably I do not have a VR or track IR headset. I'm just rotating with the mouse, but that well, we should be fine. Just gonna check, is everything on? Yep, everything seems to be in order. I really need to list the air bases on the Balkans theater because this is the one I fly the most. So. Hardy, have you been playing BMS for a very long time? No, there is no problem. Shut up. Oh boy, this is funny. I should have set my TACAN. I think the channel is 26 X-ray, but... Okay, let's try to line up with the runway. Again, I wish the ground textures would be a little bit better, but, well, it's a runway, we can use it, so... And I'm gonna put on the brakes. And the radar's on standby. I'm gonna move it to air. And hello, second viewer. And I've disabled the nose wheel steering. All my comments are also for people who are not that familiar with aviation, so... And we're going up. Flaps up. Well, flaps, sorry. Gear up. And if you see, there's a kind of line with a little circle on my screen. That's called a tadpole. So I call it, I think the A10 calls it a tadpole. It's basically a steering cue for my next steer point. I'm going to fly manually for a while, so. Normally I would not be allowed to fly past 250 knots, but also joystick-wise, if you are really wondering, I'm actually using a Thrustmaster Warthog. I mean, it's the closest thing you can get to an F-16's actual stick, at least. At least the throttle itself it's a Warthog throttle, but I mean, will live. Alrighty then, so steer point 1. Actually, I'm going to change and let's go to steer point 2. And trim a bit nose down. So let's go to steer point 2, which is 30 miles away. Oh, okay, that's not nice. Let's try to follow the steering line. So here we have a horizontal situation display, HSD. I think it's horizontal situation display, but anyway, let's try to follow the steering line while we climb to our designated flight altitude, so which is, by the way, 25,000 feet. This is what I usually use for this mission. And we still have about 27 miles to waypoint 2. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, I typed a bit the radar slew controls by accident. You can see there's a cursor there moving. So And there we go. I'm not going very fast. I mean, I'm not in a real hurry here, so it's just, for me, this is a training mission, because I usually prefer doing ground attack. So the F-16 is good enough for me. I mean, it's pretty good on air-to-air, and I've never really done air-to-air combat yet, so far. But I prefer doing a lot of air-to-ground. So being a tactical fighter, I guess, or a multi-role fighter, it just fits me like a glove. I also play DCS, by the way. Well, most of you probably don't know. And I usually fly the Harrier A-10 or the Hornet. Let's try to set up the trim a little bit on the roll trim. Okay, I'll just continue flying by hand. I mean, the plane itself is pretty stable as far as I noticed. So TGP should have power. I've had actually an issue a bit last time with the TGP not having power, but it was my mistake. So we're gonna turn a little bit here. And, well, the flying itself to the target is quite boring, and engaging the target itself is pretty easy, because it's a laser-guided bomb, so... Do you actually play a multiplayer, Hardy, or do you prefer just you're a lone wolf like me? So, what is it? Which one of the two do you do? I don't really have a squadron. I'm a casual player, so this is... I probably assume it's very fun to fly with a squadron, but, well... That's pretty much what I do. Sorry, I had to check my phone. I thought it was a very important message, but I believe it wasn't, so... Trying to keep the meatball on well, let's say the velocity vector on the steer point, but we only have about 1 minute to the next steer point, so... No, I don't. Well, sometimes I do, but I don't consider myself that good yet. I would love to, believe me, I would love to fly online with other people, but this is just... I don't consider myself, let's say, good enough to fly with other people yet. Yeah, I can get behind that. But anyway, I think it's well, I guess I should find my confidence and actually, start flying online, but I just haven't yet. Well, I just activated the autopilot. I don't really feel like looking at everything, so yeah, probably I can. I probably would do quite well, but I just haven't really tried it. I guess I should. I mean, in DCS I've flown online a few times, but since I don't have a VR headgear, the air-to-air combat, which most people seem to do, is quite complicated. No, I was in air-to-air mode. I just realized I had to turn it off. But, yeah. Again, I mean, if people want a ground pounder like me in their squadron, sure, I'm happy to do ground attack. More than happy to do ground attack in either platform. The reason why I like BMS is the close to the real deal of the flight model for the F-16. I wasn't much into BMS. I had tried it once before, I remember, many years ago. But actually the F-16 kind of grew on me. DCS is actually a lot of fun. It's just I don't really do that much online flying. That's pretty much it. So I just try to, fly on my own, and sometimes I stream, and that's about it. Yeah, the dynamic campaign, actually, I heard good things about it. DCS are actually trying to introduce it. I don't know when, but I think they're introducing a dynamic campaign quite soon. So that's probably going to give a more of the BMS feeling of actual war. But, well, we'll have to see. And I'm not really interested in other planes. I mean, if I want to fly a Hornet, I can fly easily in the in DCS, which is a fairly good Hornet, I think. I mean, the model itself is very good. I can fly the Harrier in DCS and other planes I like, but so far BMS is the only one that actually has a very good F-16. So since I like what the F-16 does, I'll just keep to it. And I'm not a big, advocate of the let's say the people who like BMS and people who like DCS. Of course, you can like whatever you like. Yeah, I know. But, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I like both simulators. It's just for... I mean, I don't know. As I said, I like BMS. It has its own good things. DCS has its own good things. And I tried not to be biased for one or the other. I try to kind of keep to both, I used to, when I started flight simulation, I was actually to FSX. I used to play the ancestor of DCS, which was Lock-On, and then Lock-On Flaming Cliffs. I also, back in the early 2000s, so I think, was it 99 or 2001, I started playing, well, MiG-29 Fulcrum. So that was one of the other things I flew. That was quite interesting. The MiG-29 was... Well, yeah, But anyway, I like the F-16, so I'll be flying this. I mean, it's coming to DCS as well. They're also building the... I think it's the Block 50. Is it the Block 50? Yeah, I think they announced the Block 50 for DCS. It's coming, I think, later this year, so towards the end of the year we'll have an F-16 in DCS as well. Well, I mean, Block 50 is not bad. I think it's actually pretty good for what it is. I think the way they announced it was something along the lines of the 2007 variant of the F-16 Block 50. I could be mistaken, of course. I'm not perfect, but... Yeah, let's go to steer point 4. Yeah, this is about, I think, 300 miles the whole round trip, so... What I would have loved to see would have been the Mirage 2000D, or a more ground attack oriented. Yeah, I mean, it is the latest, that's true. Wasn't there a Block 60 also? Please excuse my ignorance, but... And I also heard somewhere that India is going to manufacture something called a Super Viper. I'm not sure how true that is. So it's just hearsay what I've read around on the internet. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, of course, but. Okay, so the Block 70 is going to start in India. I'm still wondering why India. I mean, India has a pretty decent Air Force. Air Force, why the hell do they need F-16s? But, I mean, I guess it's a political, economical decision, so who am I to judge? I mean, this channel is not about politics or... Yep, it is a big buyer. I mean, they buy a lot, and I guess that's quite important. So let's check our TGP page. Oh, it's on standby. Perfect. So let's go back to the HSD. Well, we still have quite a while until we need to prepare the weaponry for... let's see. Well, we do have... Weapons are off, of course, because we are in... not in air-to-ground mode. Let's just go back to the HSD for a while. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big buyer, that's true. But, well, I don't know. I mean, my home country, not the current one I live in, but the one I was born in, have bought, I think, some F-16s, but really old ones. Block 15, something like that, or Block 30, I think. Memory is a bit hazy, which version it was. And, well, pilots are very happy with them, but I'm a bit sore because they're not the newest ones. They could have bought newer ones. But they bought them used from some other country, so... That was one of the things that I know about. But, yeah, well, you know, politics is politics. It's not something I really care about, so... I fly planes because I like planes, not because I care about politics or who does what and who acquires from where. And well, a plane I would be actually definitely interested to fly because it's more of a local plane. I'm actually from, well, Scandinavia or Northern Europe. Would be the JS-39 Gripen. The Gripen would be awesome to try because I heard some really amazing stories about it, but that's not going to happen. I mean, Sub won't disclose information to any module makers for anything in the world, so... But yeah, I did like the Viggen in DCS. I flew the Viggen a lot. I still fly it now and then. It's an older plane, but I think it's just a joy to fly. And you really need to be careful with the navigation system, when you can easily get a lot of stuff like drift and, you know, all kind of that stuff. Also, of course, now the country I live in is looking to replace its F-18s, and that's actually a piece of news I'm kind of keeping an eye on. I don't know what it will be. I mean, there are a lot of choices, or so I heard. It was the, I think, Rafale Eurofighter F-35. Well, yeah, the F-35. I don't know. I'm a bit biased against the F-35 because it's just... Well, it's very expensive, and I'm not sure about how good it is. F-16, probably we won't buy any F-16s, but, well, some plane anyway. There have been a few offers, but this is just what I hear on the local news and what I read on the internet. So yeah, this is more or less a leisure flight. So, yeah. I am from Finland. I live in Finland. And don't worry about it. I was just rambling about aircraft and, you know, what's it going to be next for my country and so on. But yes, I'm from Finland, and our Air Force does have a fleet of F-18Cs. at the moment. I think, I don't remember which block or upgrade version of the F-18s, but I think they were both new, and of course now they're phasing out. Oh, I guess you're buying Block 50 or Block 52. Which one are you getting? Do you know? Also, originally I'm from Romania, so technically we're almost neighbors in that aspect. I mean, I was born somewhere way closer to you than where I live now, but that's a different story. Our target, by the way, is at waypoint 6, so let's see if I can actually nab it this time. I mean, I've flown this mission so many times, and I've tried to hit the target with all sorts of weapons, like Mark 82s, Mark 84s. I've gotten it every time, but now I'm actually going to try laser-guided bombs. It's a power plant, actually. I think, yeah, it's a power plant. Yeah, it is definitely a power plant. I mean, I remember how it looks like, so it's... I mean, why do you think I... well, yeah, I had Mark 84s, but now I have GBU 24s on the wings, so let's see if I can nab it with those. I mean, it blew up when I hit it, so... Yeah, I mean, GBU 24 is so much better, but... I'm just trying all sorts of different air-to-ground weapons, so that's the main point of what I'm doing this. What I've been flying this mission so many goddamn times. And thank you for putting up with me. I mean, I'm just rambling here on the way, so... Still about a minute away from waypoint 5. Once we turn into waypoint 6, then I'm going to start preparing the TGP and all that. Yeah, I know it needs times for laser. That's why when I went first, I went for quick in and out with the Mark 84s. But now I'm actually going to try to illuminate the target and, you know, drop the GBU on it and see what's the effect of a GBU on it. I'm going to drop both of them. So let's see what's going to happen. I mean, as you can see here, I have the GBU 24s, I have the air-to-air missiles and 2 tanks, so... I took the wing tanks just in case I decide to loiter a bit, but I would probably be doing that. Yeah, the GBU 31, there's something I haven't tried yet. Hey, that's actually a nice challenge for the future. I'm going to try to bomb the target with a GBU 31. Probably in one of my next BMS streams. So we have about 5 minutes to target. I should have actually put these as a sequence, but... well, it's okay. I don't mind pressing the steer point select button. Also, I'm actually flying a plane with the Greek Air Force skin, but I mean, the skin doesn't really matter. It's just how I colored it. And hello, viewers. Come on, guys. Feel free to chat up. We don't really bite here. We're just talking about how amazing laser-guided bombs are and which ones are better for which situation. That's our target steer point. All right. It's on standby. Yeah, let's set it to air to ground. Now, I'm trying to remember where the laser options are, but let's start preparing. Heat up the laser. Well, not like it requires heating. So, I've been just watching tutorials on how to do this, so. And it's a ground target. That's a good question. I think it should be... Oh! I think I should have set it in combat mode from the DED. Okay, let's see if I remember how to do that. It might be just in training mode. That's a good point. That's a very, very good point. Alright, it was in... Was it in miscellaneous? Yes, it was. Okay, yeah, you were right. It was in... training mode. Now let's see if I can switch it to... Nope. It was on miscellaneous. And let's see. Yeah, the code's correct, 1688. I don't remember how you cycled through this. That's the problem. Oh. Combat. Thank you. Well, hey, I'm happy to have you as my... I guess you're my instructor in this case. Now the laser's on combat mode. And there's our power plant. Yep, there it is. My axis is a bit fiddly. Okay, let's TMS that up. And let's go for a narrow view. Yep, it's on narrow mode. I'm trying to actually see what's going on. Now, as far as I know, let's put this in air to ground. Master arm, TGP. I should have air to ground. Let's set this to soy. Weapons off. Why are the weapons off? Ah, it's already set. Never mind. Yeah, no need for that. And I don't remember how to stabilize it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, TMS up. I had forgotten about the TMS up. Okay, we have a hit. Well, there we go. Both the GBU-24s actually hit the target. And we can disarm the laser. And we can start going back to return to base. But yeah, that was it. We hit the targets. The target was a power plant. Keyword was. Well, I just really used the, I guess the regular GBU-24. I mean, I hit the target, so that was the point. Oh, GBU-24VB. Okay, I'll have to remember that. Actually, I'm going to write this down, because this is quite important information. I'm not that familiar with all sorts of, you know, bombs, so... I know the GBU-24 is quite large, but let me just write this down here. Thank you for the tip. I really appreciate it. That's just amazing. But anyway, that was actually also, thank you again for the reminder to set the laser in combat mode. It was actually in training mode, which is, well... Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Well, I should be really reading about what ordnance goes for what, but... Let's quickly look here. I'm just trying to remember the TACAN for... Well, it has a VOR. I think it was 26 X-ray on the TACAN, so... Aviano Air Base. I'm returning to Aviano. I took off from Rivalto, but I'm returning to Aviano. Yeah, I don't exactly remember where this was. Again, that's me not remembering anything. 111x. Thank you. Wow. I think this is still set on 3 Yankee, but let's see if I remember where the TACAN was on the DD. Okay, thank you. I'm also going to set the ILS. Well, I can also do a manual landing. I don't technically need to use ILS, but... Okay, let's go for navigation. Nope, this is just navigation status. Okay, let's see. Again, this is me not remembering where everything is, but anyway. Oh, there we go, channel 3. Thank you. And ILS was 1095. And I think the course was 230 for the runway because it's runway 23. And I need to start descending. Runway 5. Okay. Well, again, you're a lifesaver, man. Seriously. Well, let's actually remove the autopilot for now, and I'm going to start descending. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how the hell do you set the TACAN. And for X-ray... Let's see if I remember. I really need to read more about these systems. Okay, 0. Ah, bummer. Anyway. I'll just do a manual approach. That's fine. I'll just go visual on this.
Altitude.
I mean, the weather's just nice, but I really need to read a bit more about the TACAN and how to use it. I mean, I'm familiar with other planes and I know what it does, but Oh, there's the airbase. So I'm just going to use runway 23 for visual. I've done this before, so. I don't remember what were the values for the angle of attack for on-speed trim for the F-16. I know Harrier uses 10 degrees and the F-18 uses 8.5 or 8.1 or something like that. I think I'll have to do a traffic pattern here. Yeah, I'll have to do a traffic pattern, sadly. 10, okay, that's good to know. Sorry I'm quiet, I'm usually very focused during landing, so. Okay, now we're on speed. I'm gonna see if I can. Again, with no head tracking or anything like that, it's a bit difficult to have a good situational awareness of where I am, but I've been using the mouse to look around. Ah, there we go. Well, not the best lineup, but could be worse. Oh, ED tracker. Where did you get that? That's something I'm not familiar with. Very easy to build, eh? And how does it work with BMS? I mean, I think I've heard some talk about something similar before, but I'm not entirely sure what it was that people talked about. Ah, this always happens to me. I came in a bit too fast and I think I broke it. Well, sadly I broke it. Well, anyway, I'd like to thank you for at least Hardy for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed what it was. Again, I'm still quite new at this. I actually fly so many airplanes. I'm not really specialized in one of them. I like flying, well, all of them, to be honest. I just simply enjoy flying. But yeah, this was a very bad landing. I really need to practice on that as well. I just sometimes come in too fast and I have a lot of mix-up of values in my head. Well, I like the F-16 and I would like to know the F-18 a little bit better, but the Hornet in DCS is quite scary. I mean, it is the carrier landings that are probably the biggest problem. Well, the A-10, I like it a lot because it's slow and it's quite easy to fly. And a lot of the systems from F-16 to A-10 are pretty much identical. Such as the TGP and so on. But anyway, well, it's quite a lot of things. But anyway, I like multi-role planes. Pretty much that's my thing. If it's multi-role, if it can do a bit of everything, I like it. I don't like, specialized aircraft, but yeah, if it's multi-role, I usually will fly that. That's why I mentioned the Hornet. I mean, the A-10 is ground attack, and the F-16, well, I prefer a lightweight fighter. Hornet feels a bit clunkier and heavier. Well, it's not clunky, but a bit heavier. Many of the systems are the same also between Hornet and F-16. Yeah, well, a lot of things are missing. I mean, it doesn't have the lightning targeting pod. It doesn't have. It has the harms now, so we can actually fire harms. It cannot self-laze to attack ground targets. It cannot use the cluster munition dispensers, the ones that you drop from a distance and they glide to the target. I think it's the AGM 154 JASSM. That's one of the things that I would like to see. I know the Falcon has it in BMS. I know you can deploy it, and I think that's GPS guided. Anyway, that's something I would also love to see. Yeah, the data link, it has now been introduced in the Hornet, and it has also the mids and a lot of other stuff. The IFF is not working, so yeah, it's a bit complicated. I really wish it had all the features. I mean, the Harrier is now getting close to being complete, and well, I guess boom. I guess IFF is something that needs to be worked on, I suppose, on multiple planes. But, I mean, implementing an IFF system is not exactly easy because it requires some sensitive information, so I guess that's one of the reasons why they don't do it just yet. One plane I'm actually looking forward to that's coming to DCS is the Tomcat, because as a child, actually, I think the F-16 and the F-14 were my favorites as a child. Yeah, that's one plane I'm looking forward to, but apparently Heatblur are releasing it with almost all the systems except the TARPS reconnaissance pod, and the F-14A and A+ will come later, but I mean the B is cheese. Yeah, the F-14 is actually really awesome, and it's actually my kind of plane. While I say normally I prefer a lightweight fighter like the F-16, I also love the F-5 in DCS. I think the F-14, I mean, it's a heavier plane, but I just like the feel of a big, sturdy aircraft. It just feels like sturdy. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like the F-14, and I've always liked it. I mean, it's a good interceptor. It used to be able to deploy guided and unguided bombs. It could carry rockets. It was fairly multi-role in its later incarnations. So from version B to version D, they were fairly multi-role. And then the Hornet took over, and of course they phased out the Tomcats, but you know, I think probably my favorites are F-16 and F-14. Finally, F-14 is coming to DCS. I'll fly the F-16 in BMS until it comes to DCS, but we'll see what happens, because as far as I read, the F-16 is also coming in multiple phases. Yeah, I do play sometimes online on DCS. I mean, I'm actually even interested in doing the radar interception officer job in DCS, if people want to have a radar interception officer. I actually, found the F-14 flight manuals somewhere, so I have to start reading through those and print all the checklists, and yeah, I have a mountain of paperwork even for the F-16, so I do have some DCS videos on my channel as well. For example, the MiG-21, and I had one last night with the A-10, and then I had to switch to the F-18 because I got shot down by an SA-13 Kub. So, yeah, and I managed to prosecute the target as the F-18, but, I never really read much on the Kub before, so the Kub apparently can hit targets at 17,000 feet easily, so I would need to kind of pre-plan or replan the approach. But yeah, anyway, I would like to thank you all for tuning in. Hardy, again, thank you for staying with me and helping me with some of the things that I had forgotten to do, such as setting the laser to combat mode and helping me with the frequencies and how to set the ILS and TACAN on the F-16. I really appreciate the help. If you'd like to follow, of course, I'm really happy that you actually followed. And stay tuned for additional videos. There will be DCS, BMS. I also stream Resident Evil 2. I play other games as well, not just flight simulation. Alright, well, send me some contact information if you want in a private message on Twitch, and we can get in touch, definitely. I'd love to. We can do either DCS or BMS. Of course, I'd love to stream. I'd love to do a multiplayer fight and stream. That would be actually an amazing idea. I have done actually gameplay with other friends before, so but yeah, add me as a friend and okay, BMS it is. I'm fine with flying BMS. At least I can actually learn a bit more from you. I don't really like reading a lot of books. I prefer just doing it. That's usually easier for me. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and I will actually see you in the next stream or the next video. Remember to Wednesday night. Okay, perfect. If you can arrange that, send me your contact details and we'll get in touch. And again, remember Wednesday we have Subnautica, Below Zero. Thursday we have Resident Evil, and until then, or since tomorrow I will not be streaming, I would like to thank you all for tuning in. And I will see you in the next one. Have a lovely evening, day, or morning, or wherever you are in the world. Remember, fly safe and play hard.